Welcome everyone, Gauson here, and today I would like to show you a very common starting build order for the Romans. While looking at two different examples, we'll cover everything from start to our first medium house and winery. After that, you have plenty of options how to continue your development. You can build economy with farms, you can defend from the rush, or maybe you can rush yourself, all depending on the situation on the map. Without further ado, let's jump right in. In our first example, we have a very good starting spot. You may ask why. Well, we have plenty of flat space for our buildings, we have good amount of stones and enough trees to supply our sawmills before the trees from Forester will grow. Let's see how we can use that to our advantage. We have a lot of space, so we don't have to start with towers right away. Let's begin with 2 stone cutters and a small house. Also, because we don't have that many trees, we are going to place an early Forester, so we won't run out of wood later. Meanwhile, we are going to scout our surroundings with few soldiers to get some information. We are interested in 4 main things: enemies, mountains, resources, especially stones and lakes for both water and fishes, and last but not least, flat terrain. While doing that, I am already trying to picture how am I going to expand. As this is just an example, we have only one enemy, but in normal PvP games it's extremely important to gather as much intel as we can. Thanks to our scouts, we can already see that there's really good terrain on our left and also top right. So let's build towers towards those sides. At the start, we should avoid building more than 2 of them. Sometimes there's an enemy real close and we just have to fight for terrain. However, if possible, try to first start some wood and stone production and only then focus on expanding further. Now let's start building our wood production by adding woodcutters and sawmill. Notice how I'm placing woodcutters towards the foresters, so they will have shorter path to the trees. The same goes for sawmills, which should be just behind the woodcutters. Placing those like that will greatly increase your wood production. I like to think about those 2 woodcutters, a forester and a sawmill, placed closely, as a single planks production complex. Usually I build 2 of those, however in some games when I don't have any enemy nearby and a lot of space to build on, I'm going for 3. For this starting build, I'm going to recommend building 2. While waiting for shoveling of our currently placed buildings to finish, I keep scouting. In the end, having more information can hurt you, right? Let's finish our wood production for now by placing 1 additional complex. As you could see, initially I wasn't able to place a sawmill on anything else but a red dot. On such a good starting spot as this, we should definitely avoid placing anything on red dots. That would lose a lot of time on shoveling. Because of that, I've decided to move a woodcutter just a little bit, and in the end everything fit perfectly, just as we want. Because we don't have any enemies nearby, we can crash towers to regain some resources from them. In normal games, always make sure that it's safe to do so. I've seen multiple times players losing buildings because they have crashed towers that they shouldn't have crashed, and believe me, it's not fun at all. Let's schedule 1 more small house and our 3rd stone cutter. Before placing anything else, we have to wait for our shovelers to finish their current job. Placing too many buildings will cause them to split among them, and in result, slow everything down. That's why I'm trying to place no more than 4 to 5 unstabbed buildings at one time. Now we are going to place 1 more woodcutter, which will be apart from our main wood production. The main job of this woodcutter, besides providing logs, is to clear space. After he's done with his nearby trees, he should be rebuilt somewhere else. We are finally ready to place our medium house. While recording, I wasn't sure where to place it, but it finally ended there. And now we can place our last building, which is winery. Let's jump to our final result. Thanks to good starting location, everything was built smoothly and without any delays, which should give us some advantage over our enemies. To summarize, we have 3 stone cutters, 2 wood complexes with 1 additional woodcutter working as a freelancer, 3 houses that provided enough settlers to make some geologists and pioneers, and 1 winery for early mana production. Everything done under 9 minutes, which is very decent. Unfortunately, that won't always be a case, so now let's have a look how we can handle worst starting spot. In this starting location we don't have much flat space. Although we have stones, it won't be easy to place a stonecutter near them. The same goes for trees. We have them, but they are splitted, so we cannot really place our wood production so perfectly as we did in our first example. Let's see what we can do here. We would like to start with stonecutters, but we can't build both of them, as the stonecutter on the bottom would be too far away from stones and became inefficient really soon. That's why we are going to delay him and instead place a woodcutter. We really need to find some flat terrain, so without building anything else, we are going to scout. On spots like this, it's very important to avoid building on red dots, as the shoveling will take a lot of time and will make us slow. That's why I'm going to build a small house for now and delay resource production buildings. As soon as I saw some better terrain on the bottom, I'm placing a tower towards that direction. Similarly to the first example, there is not so many trees, so let's add a forester on a green dot. Now we can see very good terrain on top of us. Using the fact that I've placed a small house before, we are going to make 5 pioneers and make a street to place a tower a little bit further from our territory. Meanwhile, let's keep scouting. Our shovelers finished their jobs, so let's try to finish at least a basic composition of 2 woodcutters, forester and sawmill, even though we cannot place them on flat terrain, and it will take some time to shovel. I'm again placing woodcutters towards forester and leaving some space between them, so forester can plant trees there. It's very important, as otherwise he would have to plant behind his hut, which is very inefficient. Right now there is not so much to be done. I'm clicking on the buildings without placing them to find out the best ways to place them later. I'm just making a plan in my head. Because we are still waiting for towers to be finished, I'm going to place 1 more small house, just in case we would need more pioneers. It shouldn't slow us too much. Let's not forget about scouting. Now we can finally place a tower at the end of Pio Street that we've made from our territory. Let's use the pioneers to capture some trees for woodcutters, as the forester won't be fast enough to supply them. I'm keeping the soldier close to the tower, so he enters as soon as it's completed. It's a very good practice, especially on multiplayer games, where this soldier can decide whether you get this territory or you will lose it to your enemy who was trying to capture it as well. Now we can finally place our second stonecutter and another woodcutter. It's a little late and we might lack stones soon, but hopefully we won't suffer too much. In a starting location like that, we have to accept the fact that we cannot do everything perfectly and just do it as good as we can. Let's continue building our wood production. Our pioneers captured enough trees for woodcutters to continue to work. Let's use them to make another street to expand further later on. While setting the pioneers, it's always good to send few soldiers with them for protection. Even if we are playing with some peacetime, enemy can attack them as they are not working on our territory. It's always good to make few geologists at the start to get faster information on resources in mountains. We haven't done that in our first example, as we really focused on getting medium housed as fast as possible. Here I believe it won't hurt us to make 3 of them and send them to work. Our top tower is completed and we are almost done with building in the bottom, so now we can concentrate on building in the north. It's important to try to build always in one place, as otherwise our workers will have to do a lot of walking instead of working. As in first example, we need third stone cutter and a freelancing woodcutter. We can also already plan our medium house. Initially I wanted to place it close to the river, but then I've realized that I might need that place for waterworks hut, so I've decided to move it. And finally our last building, which is winery. Let's jump to our final result. Even though the starting spot wasn't so good as the previous one, with some order swaps and using Piostreets, we've managed to achieve the same effect around 40 seconds later, which is not a big deal. Once again we have a good resource production to continue the game the way we want. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.